Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here to remember, honour and celebrate the life of Kathleen Marion Hiddleston, known to you as Marion, mum, granny, sister, aunt, cousin, and a dear, dear friend. Marion had many different roles in life. I just mentioned the one that she played in many of your lives, and on top of these, she was also a clerical assistant, then tax officer, an assistant in a painting and decorating shop, a medical receptionist, a lifelong artist, creative writer, letter writer, and gardener. My name is Avril Hawthorne. I am a celebrant accredited with Humanist UK, and I create and conduct ceremonies that bring together friends, family, and the community to mark life events. A humanist funeral simply means that it is one all about Marion, and I will lead us through her life today with music that she loved, words that she wrote herself, and memories about her from her family. To open, we will listen together to a song that she loved and which represents her pastime of gardening, and roses were her absolute favourite. It is The Rose by Bette Midler.
Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger, an endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower, and you, it's only seed. It's the heart afraid of breaking that never learns to dance. It's the dream afraid of waking that never takes the chance. It's the one who won't be taken, who cannot seem to give, and the soul afraid of dying that never learns to live. When the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long, and you think that love is only for the lucky and the strong, just remember in the winter, far beneath the bitter snows, lies the seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose.
Thank you. Marion was born on the 20th of June 1929 to parents Mildred and Samuel. She was born in her uncle's house in Westbrook Terrace, Coleraine. The eldest of 5, she quickly established her place as the capable, clever, and quietly competitive leader of the Leslie clan. John, Eleanor, Anne, and Pauline followed in due course. Marion had such an interesting life, which crisscrossed the British Isles, firstly with her father's occupation, then her own and her husband's. Marion did a fantastic job of chronicling this and has left behind wonderful handwritten accounts of facts and anecdotes from her life. Many of these her family had heard many times. Others they were rediscovering as they went through them together this week in preparation for today. Along with the memoirs, there was also poems that she had written, and this one, titled Springtime, resonated with this time of year and its hopeful message. It goes, "The sentiments are far from new, but year by year they're just as true. And I'm convinced, though some may doubt, that every spring when leaves come out, they seem to me more fresh and green than ever in the past they've been. One day the trees are stark and bare, the next a haze of green is there. And so I watch from day to day the country come to life this way. And when the blossoms all shall fade, and we are left in the winter's shade, then still the memories remain to see us through to spring again." Although this poem is speaking of our seasons, today when we read it, we can also relate it to the seasons of our lives. Despite the unseasonable good weather outside, for those of you closest to Marion, you will have been living in winter's shade since her passing. Her words, "Then still the memories remain to see us through to spring again," are also an encouragement to keep her alive in your hearts and minds and to bring some comfort that she is still with you through the stories and through the legacy that she has left behind. And my word, what a story and a life that she got to tell. She loved school and she loved education. She began at the wonderfully titled the Honourable Irish Society School in Coleraine. Her family then moved to Plymouth and she attended primary school and then Plymouth High School for girls. It was then back to Killowen Primary in Coleraine, Coleraine High School for girls, and then on to Campbelltown Grammar in Scotland. In her first primary school, she was awarded the certificate for the best girl in the school, an accolade that she treasured for her whole life. She then excelled academically in Plymouth and passed the entrance exam for grammar school. When the family moved back to Coleraine, however, the school system here was different, so she went back into primary and had to resit the exam. Once again, she passed with flying colours and was accepted to Coleraine High School for girls. She had been promised a bike from her parents if she passed her entry exam, and well, she went and did it twice. And as she wrote in her memoirs, "I am still waiting for that bike." She held on to those tiny injustices from her younger years. At school in Plymouth, her natural ability for art shone through, and she was often top of the class. One week she was off ill though, and the class studied a honeysuckle. Lo and behold, it was the honeysuckle that came up in the exam, and she had not had the chance to learn it. When she complained to the teacher, they simply replied, "Tough luck," and she had to live with the ignominy of not coming first this time. At Campbelltown, though, she met a teacher and a mentor, Dolly Smith, who introduced her to oil and watercolours, sparking a lifelong talent and interest in this medium. Marion always felt that her education had been disrupted and disjointed due to moving around so much. Nevertheless, she was clearly well educated and she loved to correct her children's and grandchildren's grammar and phrasing. For example, when Aileen once declared herself knackered, she corrected her with, "You are simply very, very tired." And Heather was not stuffed after a wonderful dinner. She had had an elegant sufficiency, always said with a glint in her eye and a wry smile. The Leslie family moved around due to their father being in the Royal Navy, and then once he retired from service, he took up post as a Coast Guard, which is how they found themselves in Southend Argyll, a little village on the very tip of the Mull of Kintyre. Their childhood was also interrupted by the small matter of the Second World War, and Marion often talked about how they would carry their gas masks everywhere with them. In the way that only children can, she also looked back fondly on the rations that they were given. They each had 2 biscuits, and if they were stuck in the air raid shelter for more than 2 hours, they got to eat them. She was very proud of her father. Her and Aileen campaigned and were successful in ensuring he was recognised posthumously for his service in safeguarding the Arctic convoys, which had supplied vital goods to Russia, a key ally at the time. As a Coast Guard, he also was in the history books as he spotted the Byron Darton was in trouble and mobilised the Coast Guard, saving every crew member in doing so. The Mull of Kintyre and Campbelltown Grammar School brought more memorable events for young Marion. It was the first mixed gender school that she attended, and the male teachers and pupils were certainly a shock to begin with. She wrote about wonderful dances in the town hall, and at one memorable one, she wore an elegant blue evening dress with matching gloves that had been sent from her cousins in America. She wrote that she had had many offers of an escort home that night, but she didn't take any up. Instead, they liked to walk home along the beach in the moonlight with friends. When she did make it home, her strict mother had the door locked, and she would have to throw stones at the window to wake Eleanor up to let her in. From there, she moved to Glasgow. She'd been offered a place at Dundee School of Art, however, they felt that that was too far away on the east coast. She was also accepted to Glasgow School of Art, however, places had been prioritised for ex-servicemen, and she had to wait until the following intake to begin. So, instead, she began a temporary job in an office on George Square in Glasgow. This decision opened a whole new chapter for Marion. There, she met a young Andrew Hiddleston. Some harmless flirting in the mailroom turned into courting, which turned into marriage on the 14th of June, 1952, in St Mary's Cathedral in Glasgow. They had over 6 decades of marriage, filled with adventures, family of their own, and love, until Andy passed in 2014. Just 6 days before their 62nd wedding anniversary. Marion had started out as a clerical assistant in the Inland Revenue and then took the civil service exam and was promoted to tax officer. Marion and Andy spent that first year of married life in London in their new jobs. The rules of the time, though, meant that married women had to give up their roles in the civil service, so when she fell pregnant with their first son, she resigned. They then moved back to Northern Ireland, firstly to Bangor, where her parents were stationed with the Coast Guard. Soon, the pull of the North Coast was calling again, and they moved to a little holiday cottage in Portrush, and then to their first proper home in Lever Park, Portstewart. The Hiddlestons really put down roots in this house, and Andrew actually turned down promotions to Belfast, as it would mean leaving. Such was the connection to it. As their family grew, though, so did their commitments and their ambitions, and with 3 children by this point, in 1959 they moved to Lisburn, ending up in their forever home in Parkland Avenue from 1972. Marion dedicated her life to her children and was a wonderful mother. Aileen has many fond memories of coming home to the smell of buns freshly baked, and there were adventures to Belfast for shopping and caravan trips where they would run wild for 2 weeks. Their mother included. In 1969, Marion rejoined the workforce in Ernie Eccleston's painting and decorating shop. The colours and patterns really appealed to her creative side, and she loved being there and helping customers choose. She also loved DIY herself and was always independent in this regard. Once, when they did have a handyman in the house to fix something, he asked Andrew, as the man of the house, if he had a screwdriver. To which he replied, "Mary, do we have a screwdriver?" Such was the division of labour in their home. From this job, she moved on to become a receptionist for Dr. McClelland and Dr. Jefferson's surgery of Bow Street Mall, before being promoted to senior receptionist and moving to Lisburn Health Centre. When she retired, Marion embraced a new chapter. She joined the Lisnagarvey Art Society and threw herself into painting more than she ever did, and met best friends Laura, Isabel and Lila. She entered competitions, sold paintings and had exhibitions. In her 90s, she was still entering and winning postcard competitions, and most recently a painting competition with Rowellan Gardens for the King's coronation celebrations in 2023. Throughout her life, holidays were a deep joy, whether with her sister Eleanor and brother-in-law Graham or the whole family. From France and Spain to Jersey, Cornwall, the Lake District and her favourite on the Antrim coast, she loved the change of scenery and all of the experiences that they offered. I am told that she was a woman of great wit and even greater honesty. She said what was on her mind, usually with a mischievous sparkle, as she knew, especially in later life, that she could get away with comments that others probably wouldn't. She adored her grandchildren, and she took genuine joy in their lives. She loved hearing about Richard, Bobby and Mia, and great-grandson Oliver, Sean and Scarlett, Heather and Andy, and Polly and Andy. She was deeply proud of them all. Polly was her wee faithful Polly, and she became her great companion and caregiver in later years, which is something the entire family will be forever grateful for. She stayed modern, even progressive, open to technology, art, and ideas, but still proper and conservative with a small c in her own ways. She continued her letter writing and connected the family far and wide. She wasn't a massive fan of chatting on the phone, but she did embrace emails as an alternative with no issue. Her memory book prompted her with the question, "How would you describe your personality?" To which she wrote, "Well, I think that's for others to decide. I would say, though, determined and practical." From speaking to her family this week, I know they would also say loving, caring, inspiring, funny, and I know that she has left a massive gap in your lives. And with that, I'm going to ask her son, Jerry, to join us and say a few words in his own tribute to Marion. Testing. Is that on? Yep.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and I would also like to thank you all for coming along and support the family here today. I wanted to give you my perspective on Mary. My own mum passed away 35 years ago, and since then, Mary has been a mum to me. I came to realise that she has a superpower, which was that she could make anyone love her. I think you will all know exactly what I mean. It required one simple thing. You just had to meet her. Sorry. You simply couldn't help yourself. While she had that superpower, she also had a wide range of more ordinary powers which manifested themselves in a variety of ways. Aileen told me that she would head off to school in the morning, and by the time she got back home, her mum had completely redecorated her bedroom. She was also a great communicator, as we've heard. She was a part of that last great generation of letter writers. In her distinctive handwriting, she sent many letters for many reasons, and they would all have faultless spelling, grammar, and punctuation. And all letters she received would be proofread to ensure that they met her exacting standards. She was equally demanding of the spoken word. She could simply not stand the use of what I might describe as industrial language. I can recall one occasion when Aileen and I were visiting her parents. I went to the bathroom, and when I opened the bathroom door to return to the living room, I was stung by a wasp. I let out an expletive. It's not the worst one you can think of, no. After getting some treatment for the sting, I returned to the living room. Aileen told me later on that she saw the reaction of her parents. Andy had a smirk on his face who said, "Aye, laddie, you're in trouble now." While Mary simply lowered a newspaper that she was reading and peered over her glasses at Aileen and said, "I think there's a problem with Jerry." But the incident was never mentioned again, at least not by Mary, it wasn't. While she continued to use the traditional method of communication, she also embraced modern technology, but did not let her standards drop even when writing an email. Some years ago, she enlisted in an evening course which she believed would teach her all the secrets of technology. She was less than pleased, however, and she stopped it after one lesson because she said, "Sure, they were supposed to be teaching me about, they're only teaching me about how to send emails, and I already know that." One aspect of modern technology that she refused to embrace was electronic banking. She was suspicious of direct debits, and she insisted on cash or checks. One time, however, a bank returned a check that she wrote because when she wrote the date, instead of writing November or 11, as most people would, she used Roman numerals. What can I say? She was furious that she had to reissue the check, claiming that the bank was being too picky. I'm only surprised that she didn't rewrite the check on parchment using a quill as a protest. There you go. Now, we're all very lucky when we have a good mother. I'm especially blessed because I've had two, and I will miss her intensely.
Thank you, Jerry. I'm now going to turn to Marion's own words and poetry again to help you draw some comfort from what she would have wanted for you all at this difficult time. If you have lost a loved one dear, I beg you please to listen here. The one who's gone from hence would never wish you to feel your grief forever. Look back with thanks to all the happy years. Be glad of them and dry your tears. We all must live to our allotted span. It seems so short, that is the fate of man. So while we're here upon this earth, let's live it out for all it's worth. Each day will have its joy or sorrow, but soon will come that long tomorrow. When all we love will meet again, and there will be no grief or pain. Each of you will have your own personal and unique memories of Marion and the impact that she has had on your lives. We will now take a moment to look back on some of these with a photo presentation, so please also take this time to remember her in your own way and commit her love and her ideals to your heart and memory. You may also want to take this time to make a promise to yourself in her honour. Whilst we watch it, it will be accompanied by another song that she loved, A Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. Thank you.
I see trees of green, red
blessed day, the dogs say goodnight, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying how do you do. They're really saying I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They're like much more than I ever knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
I'll let those roll while I finish, yeah. Thank you. I will soon come to our closing words and thoughts for today, and afterwards everyone is welcome to the house of Vic Rinn on the Moira Road for refreshments. There will then be a private service at Roselawn later this afternoon. Marion's family would also like me to pass on their heartfelt thanks to everyone who has helped Marion and them in recent months, namely Roberta, receptionist at Dr. Ryan and Partners, especially Dr. McGuinness in the Lisburn Health Centre and Dr. Alcorn in Lagan Valley Hospital. The staff at Lisburn Intermediate Care Centre, especially Evelyn, John, Rose and manager Alfie. The staff of Ward 5C at the Royal Victoria Hospital and the exceptional kindness of nurses Unaya, Elby, Jenny and Ruth. And finally, Jark, Laura, the care manager, and wonderful carers, Irene, Jeanette, Christine, Edna, Elma, Elaine, Susan, and Rebecca. What a wonderful team that she had around her. Many of you here will have known Marion, your mum, granny, sister, and aunt, your whole lives. She had almost 96 years of living the best life that she could, filled with family, travel, curiosity and creativity, and perhaps just a little touch of competitiveness. All the love for her now feels like it has nowhere to go, and it is often said that grief is the price that we pay for love. Donna Ashworth conveys this beautifully, and how grief now sits with us in her poem, Love Turned Inside Out. Get used to grief, my friends. For once it calls, it does not take its leave. An unwanted guest, but a guest nonetheless, and a guest we must receive. Get used to grief, my friend, for once it's with you, it sticks like sea to shore. The folks who grieve get no reprieve, just the learning to live once more. Get used to grief, my friend, for when it arrives, it won't be escorted out. So usher it in, let the grief win. It's love turned inside out. On the 20th of June 1929, Kathleen, Marion, Leslie came into this world, and on the 4th of April 2025, she died peacefully, having lived independently for as long as any of us could have hoped to. The poet Maya Angelou wrote, "People will forget what you did, people will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel." And it is this impact that Marion had that will live on in you and in your future generations that you tell about her. Try and remember this in the coming weeks and months as you learn to live without her, and remember that she would not want you to dwell on the past, but to look to the future. Before we leave together this morning, I offer this final farewell from all of those who love her. Marion, we are glad that you were part of our lives. We thank you for the love you gave us. We thank you for being your kind and generous self, and we thank you for the wonderful memories you have left behind. We hold those memories in our minds, and we hold you in our hearts. Now, with respect, we leave you in peace, and with love, we say farewell. Marion is going to remain in place, and we will leave together during our final song. If you're able, please stand. You have been remembering Kathleen Marion Hiddleston. May she rest in peace.
The falling leaves drift by the window, the autumn leaves of red and gold. I see your lips, the summer kisses, the sunburned hands I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow long, and soon I'll hear old winter's song. But I miss you most of all, my darling. When autumn leaves start to fall, since you went away, the days grow long, and soon